Welcome to the Performance Enhancing Podcast. It's like steroids for your brain. A podcast for people looking to live life at their peak potential. Chock full of real-world tools and knowledge that you can apply in your life today. By providing you with a lens into the lives, beliefs, practices, and actions of those who are already living extraordinary lives, the Performance Enhancing Podcast will help you shift your mindset or create that change in your daily rituals and habits so you can explode with success in the areas of life that are most important to you. So get ready for another dose of Performance Enhancing Podcast with SatoriPrime. Here's your host, Elon Ferdman.
Hello everyone. Elon here. Time for another Performance Enhancing Podcast, or pep talk as I like to say. As you can see, I'm in my big living room with my fireplace behind me, for those watching on video, and for those not, just enjoy the voice, I guess. Anyway, I want to talk to you about something, a plague upon the human race today. A plague that stops people from having the lives that they actually want. So let's delve into that. There's a phenomenon of people wanting to accomplish stuff and not accomplishing it, right? And our great mentor, Paul, who by the way is coming to our live event, which I'm so nervously excited about, I can't even tell you. The fact that he said yes, the fact that he's coming from Rio the day before, and the fact that he's going to be sitting there watching this, it's just going to be a trip. Amazing. But anyway, I digress. He used to say this thing that everybody has something that they want to do someday. Someday I'll be rich. Someday I'll be married. Someday I'll have kids. Someday I'll have the job of my dreams. He goes, I don't know about you, but every day I wake up, it's either a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, Thursday, a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I am yet to wake up on someday. But I'm sure if I ever wake up and it's someday, there's going to be a whole bunch of great shit done in the world. So why is that? Do you ever stop and think, why is it that I want X in my life and X always seems to be farther and farther and farther away? So I want to share with you a distinction. This is something that we're really going to delve into deeply at our live event here coming up in San Diego. So if there's still a few tickets actually available. If you want to grab them, it's just head to SatoriPrime.com/live and grab yours immediately because they are going fast. So as I tell you this distinction, just understand that we're going to spend a day and a half working on this. I'm going to try to give this to you in the next 10 minutes or so. In the human brain, there are different parts of the human brain, okay? The amygdala, which is an almond-shaped piece, actually in the center of the brain, is the oldest part of our brain. It's the part that we actually received from our ancestors. Now, what does the amygdala do? The amygdala is the first response, okay? Now, it actually deals with a whole slew of emotions, but the thing it's programmed to deal with first is fear. In fact, they've done studies that within 10 milliseconds of a perceived fearful situation, the amygdala has picked it up, and by 30 milliseconds, your body's already taken hold. You know exactly what the fear is, okay? Now, why was that developed? Obviously, as threat protection, right? When you're out in the wilderness, animals are coming around any corner, you have to be on high alert all the time or you die. So it's a survival mechanism. Unfortunately, because we've had this passed down from generation to generation, now in a world where lions aren't coming out of the bushes and people aren't coming to hunt you down, it still functions the same way. It still perceives threat everywhere. To the fact that you want to do a test, okay? If you watch the news, do a 30-day news fast. Don't watch the news for 30 days because the whole part of news is to trigger the amygdala. That's it. That's the only thing that the news is good for. So if you want to see the effect that this has on your life, remove news from the equation. Try for 30 days and see what happens. Now, the highest level is the cortex. That's kind of our high level thinking. Okay, that's where we make rational decisions, logical decisions, etc. But the amygdala responds way before the cortex. So let's take an example. You say, I want to make $100,000 this year. Okay? If you're sending mixed signals to different parts of the brain, for example, you say, I want to make $100,000. But then the next thought is, part of you, subconscious, conscious, doesn't matter, part of you believes that that's impossible. The brain can no longer function. You won't actually let the brain solve that problem because you've already said it's impossible. Now I said there's something plaguing humanity. Here's what it is. We have crossed, or I don't know, intermerged, or I'm coming up with the wrong word because I can't think of one right now. We've collapsed, that's the word I'm looking for. We have collapsed impossible with difficult. Okay, I'm going to say that again. We've collapsed impossible and difficult. So a lot of the times you'll say something like, I want to make $100,000, but subconsciously you've said to yourself, that's impossible to do in a year. And as soon as you do that, whether conscious or unconscious, this is very important, you've pretty much stopped the ability to make that happen. Because if at a subconscious level you believe it's impossible, your brain won't go to task in order to make that a reality for you. So whether it's losing weight, whether it's finding the man or woman of your dream, whether it's having a kid, whether it's reaching a whole new level of success in your business, whatever it is, if there are cross paths, you're screwed. And that's why your life always seems to look like, I want X, but I can never quite reach X. Because at some core level, or subconscious level I should say, you believe that to be impossible. Now I want to give you a little trick here on how to make the impossible possible. What happens is you've created neuronal pathways. Now from the amygdala, I know I'm getting a little scientific on you guys, but from the amygdala to the cortex, it's sending messages. And if the messages that it sends is, that's impossible, we've kiboshed it, right? So now what do we need to do? We need to transform those pathways in the brain from impossible to difficult. Now this doesn't happen overnight, my friend, because the impossible for you has been programmed for decades. So we now have to retrain the brain. And that's really what we're going to do in San Diego, is we're going to retrain your brain. The same way you do exercises for your body, you can do exercises for your brain. Neuroplasticity, for those that don't know what that is, up until neuroplasticity, we believed that your brain was complete at the age of between 23 to 25 years old, whether you're a male or female. What that meant was that every experience and every way that you have of being, we believed was fixed at the age of 23, 25. So if you had some sort of condition, some sort of anxiety, some sort of depression, some sort of hyperactivity, done. 23, 25, done. Now we know that that's complete farce. In fact, your brain can grow and actually be healthier the older you get. Plenty of studies. So what we're trying to do, and it's a two-step process I'm going to share with you, what we're trying to do is create new pathways. So the first step is to extinguish the old pathway, okay? So the way we need to do that is we need to look at our beliefs, okay? So if you have some sort of impossible conversation around something, like leaving this job and earning X amount of income to support my family is impossible, okay? What you need to start changing that conversation to is, it's not impossible, it's difficult. It may be difficult, but it's not impossible, right? And as soon as you bring difficult into the equation, a brain can deal with difficult. Difficult means we got to get to work. The brain cannot deal with impossible. Impossible means can't be done. Now the question is, is there really anything that's impossible? I mean, things we thought were impossible. What I just said, we thought the brain was fixed. It was impossible to change the brain. We got some knowledge, we did some tests, voila, all of a sudden possible, right? So there's very few things, especially in your life, that are truly impossible. Look around. Are people having those goals that you want accomplished? Whether it's losing 150 pounds, right? Someone's done it, therefore not impossible. Someone going from homeless to creating a 7-figure income, not impossible, someone's done it, right? Someone finding the man or woman of their dreams after 4 divorces, not impossible, someone's done that, right? So there's almost nothing that you could say to yourself that is impossible. Now, is it difficult? Chances are probably. For you, definitely. But that's the first step, is extinguishing the impossible from your neuronal pathways, from the amygdala to the cortex, okay? Once you do that, and guys, again, this takes time. This is not like a boom. This is a muscle that you need to create. The next step is relearn, right? This is where we actually create new thought patterns. So now once we've got room, like it may be difficult, now the next thing that you can do is start reprogramming other things. Like, this is possible. This is how I'm going to get this done in this amount of time. And that's the next level. That's when you start breaking the pathways and then creating these new ones. And you will be shocked at the velocity by which you can produce results when you understand this happen. So when you say, the reason people have this impossibility thing, and this is something that is very important to understand, is because they buy into these fears. They buy into the reaction that the amygdala creates in the body and in their mind. Now, if you just knew that there's this little almond-shaped piece in your brain that's doing this to you, could you, the next time that you experience some sort of paralyzing fear, just stop for a second and distinguish that, hey, this is just a natural phenomenon that my amygdala feels threatened by, but truly there's nothing here to be threatened. Like, I'm looking around, I'm gonna survive. I'm not gonna die from this. It's difficult to maybe go through this, but I'm not gonna die. If anything, I'm gonna become better by this process. And that little shift right there, as soon as you do that, you've taken the game from impossible to difficult. You've uncollapsed these two things that have been holding you back in your life for years. One of the greatest things I learned from Landmark Forum, and it took me years to get this, but their tagline is, anything is possible. Anything. Not some things, not certain things here and there. Anything is possible. And I have to tell you that through the years of putting this into practice, I know that to be true. The only thing stopping you from anything is you. And the crazy part is that a lot of this stuff is subconscious. So they've done crazy tests, and we're going to talk a lot about this in San Diego, but crazy tests where they flashed for literally 30 milliseconds images on a screen and watched people's skin well up with sweat, tension in their body, blood flowing to fear sectors of the brain after seeing an image for 30 milliseconds, I'm sorry. So whether you're aware of the fear consciously or unaware of it, that's why I said news is such a huge, huge thing that you guys need to be getting rid of. Even if you went to bed watching, I don't know, cop shows or the news or anything like that, your brain, your eyes don't need to see that object. It could be a sound, it could be a perception, it could be anything. But if constantly they're talking about fear-based things, murders here, deaths here, people getting robbed here, that's what you're impregnating into your amygdala. You're basically putting it on high alert all the time. And that's wreaking havoc on you. Probably your sleep, your health, how drained you feel at night, because the amygdala actually controls and takes a lot of energy from the body. So if you come home and you're just exhausted, You get home from work and you're just exhausted. All you want to do is sit in front of a couch and like zone out in front of the TV. Listen, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying don't do that all the time, but like just be consciously aware of it. That's because whether you have actual fear that you can consciously say like I'm really afraid or stressed about this or not, does not matter, because to the amygdala, you've put yourself in stressful, fearful, impossible situations. So the plague, again, is the collapse of the impossible and the difficult. And I urge you to look at things in your life that you want to accomplish today and see, truly test, are they impossible? Do you have beliefs of them being impossible? And keep in mind that a lot of this stuff, like I said, is subconscious. But the more you handle these impossible conversations and start uncollapsing them and just say, this is going to be difficult and I'm up for the challenge, I'm ready for difficult, you'll be great. Right? Like if I said I want to run a marathon and in my brain a marathon is impossible, I'm not going to get very far. But if I set myself up knowing like this is going to be difficult, I hate running, I'm not great at it, I need to figure out what to do, how to do, etc. And I set myself up that way, yeah, it might take me 12 months to get there, but I'm going to get there. Right? And the brain, because now it's aligned, all the parts of the brain are aligned, you can achieve your goals much faster. So again, look at your life. What's something that you've wanted to achieve that keeps, being pushed away? You keep reaching, it's just not showing up. What do you have collapse there? Take a look. And lastly, if, like I said, there's still time, come out to San Diego, come out to La Jolla, have your mind blown. And I do really mean blown by reprogramming it once and for all to achieve everything that you've ever wanted in your life. Your greatest life is on the other side of learning how to use your fear and not be affected by it or used by it, as my brother likes to say. So hopefully I'll see you in San Diego, and until we speak again, have an amazing, amazing day, my friend.
Did you run through doors till you hit the floor? Did you read my eyes and my aching thoughts? Did you walk through walls till you had to grow? Oh my God, your smile and my soundless call.